Hello everyone, this is Singer. In this video, we're gonna talk about the video which I posted in YouTube, and we'll just have a little bit digest of the formulas behind it, how it works, and the logic. First, in Excel, the rendering will be simple. We just focus on the top line and the bottom line, because in Excel, if you do a for loop, just a loop out this column is not that convenient. We'll do the loop out in the Python NumPy, using NumPy, using for loop, and then we have rendering in Python also. So first we just have a simple look at it. For example, you can see the value in the row 21, both column has a value of 1. That's why it overlaps at this area. So we can quickly spot the pattern that the bottom, like the orange line, has a very flat. This portion is very flat, and then it climbs up. So this is corresponding to this column, and this one is like a very steady climb, and then at this starting from 0.9, and then it just slows down and reaches to 1. So this is how it is. This formula is actually not that very difficult, because we can render and also in Excel. In this column we have the X value. You can form just in conformity with the number of the power. The number of power was set to 1 to 20, and the X value we just controlled within the boundary of 0 and 1, and then it's like interval is 0.05, and you add 0.05 is 0.1, and then the formula inside it is actually the blue one. The blue line on top is the input, X input raised to the power of n's reciprocal. Is like you have a fraction. 1 is placed on top as the numerator, and then the n value is placed beneath the fractional bar as the denominator. So in this column is just the opposite. You directly raise to the power of n. So you can also do a little bit experiment. For example, if you clear out this row, then you can see clearly. For example, you want to clear out this one. You have discontinuity from here to here, because we just remove the value. And also you can have a look at value here, it's a tiny segment, and also the value here. And also because of those it's a sort of like a scatter plot, and we can just for a quick reference, we can select this type. It's just those dots with the values being plotted out, and then the next step, you can use a line to just connect those dots, and then just use this one, or eventually you can get rid of the dots altogether, just so like a line chart. So it's like this, and then I guess this area we just pretty much covered it. And then we move on to the Python file. How we move to Python, and this is the file. We first step is to import the libraries, and also assign some alias to it, because it's shorter. Like this one, if you just import, for example, if you try to summon that library or call that library, and then call on some specific functions upon it, then definitely your code will be cumbersome and just cluttered with extra length. You just simplify as a PLT, and then you can use the NumPy as the number generator. In this case, we want to generate the 20 values. That's why you can also pass in the parameter and use the sign symbol, which is sort of like an equal. However, it's used as sign in Python code. If you, for example, you have a conditional statement, you need to use double, like a equal sign as the true equal sign. If you use a single equal sign, then it means that it's assignment for you to assign the value. This is actually you can also pass in like this. Let's see it. You have want the number of you want how many. You can also pass is the same. If you pass in those arguments without using the parameter to build the association, you must pass in the correct order. So the initial argument is associated with the start parameter, and the second is associated with the stop parameter, and the last is corresponding to number parameter, and you can pass in a numerical value inside it. And you can also have a quick look at the value you printed out here, or you specifically use the print function to just display the values is also okay. Then we need to softcode this area, because you can also pass in the numerical value directly here. Basically, we first this step you can also just later on, or and that you can split the steps. However, I would like to first create a color list. This list, first you pass the empty list. Nothing was inside it initially. However, after you call the for loop is because we already assigned 20 to the end value, and then we pass the variable here. It will read starts from, in this case, definitely from 0, because it's a 0 indexed, and then move on until the last value is actually exclusive. Therefore, the maximum value is actually 19, because 20 is being excluded outside of the range. So, and then we call the variable, which is the empty list, and then we start pending. It's like we just have an empty shell setup. We just put items in one after another. Is you have compartments, so you just imagine it as a comma to separate it, separate, and you have a list. There's a list of 20 colors, and then you can use it inside this one. For example, then we move on to just plot out some scatter plot. Use the same formula that we already demonstrated in Excel. So you have the value also. You have a n1, I guess, n1. Okay, here I need to explain here. This is a color list, and then this is just to generate array. The array is actually starting from 1 and 20, because we don't need to have a 0. We need to specify it as starting from 1, and then we can pass this variable here to complete the exponential function to raise to the power of this one. And then because we are using scatter plot, we can assign like some attributes to the markers, such as we have a color, because we already compiled a list of colors, and we can use the eye to slice it. This is because this is a for loop. It starts from the initial. For example, if this cycle is completed, you plot it out one single dot, and then you move on to retrieve whatever the next waiting line, the value. For example, you start from 0, and then you move on to 1, and then plot another dot, and it repeats. So it's like this, plotting out. You form like I guess it's a little bit cluttered. You can reduce the number of the dots. However, we need to also change here because it's associated. You can then it's maybe we can reduce still further down. And 5 dots. Okay, you can have a look at it. It's like this. It's now you just seems like a melon, and then you can collect it with the lines. It's similar with what we did with Excel. You just use a plot, and then you have a marker. However, if you want to remove the cluttered markers, you just have a line, and then you can also assign the line style. In this case, we have dotted lines, and also you have a like a hyphen and then have a dot. That's how it is. And the files, Excel and Python files, I will have them. I'll paste the link, URL link at the description box so you can have access to it. I will update it in the GitHub so it can be downloaded. You can practice and modify it. Thank you.